Hi campers. It's just been a bank holiday here in the UK, and with it the bank holiday brings a raft of drama for people who are travelling down. My neck of the woods is Cornwall. Fairly abnormal circumstances, high pressure situations. You want to enjoy yourself, you know, you don't want to have a disaster. I think certainly these days we're under a lot more pressure to enjoy ourselves with the likes of the last few years that has caused a lot of issues, shall we say. So all the more reason to check your van, check your vehicle, and be a little bit mechanically sympathetic about the vehicle that you're driving. Case in point is this vehicle that I'm sat in now. I got a frantic phone call on the bank holiday Monday. He'd lost his clutch. They'd come down, you know, to get away from it all. You know, you get a few days to yourself, you want to enjoy it, and typically the vehicle had let them down, and he was thinking about all sorts of pound signs. Clutch has failed, or is it going to need a gearbox, blah blah blah. When I looked at it, it was just a hose leaking. The pressure hose going to the clutch slave cylinder was leaking, and it was a relatively simple repair to just sort out a new seal on the hose. So all's well that ends well there. But that brings me to a point that I've been discussing with people lately. Me and my wife are also van lifers. We've got another channel where we adventure around in our classic camper. Last year we did the NC500. We did about 2,000 miles. You know, it's an old van. You're going up the uphill and down dale, loads and loads of miles. You know, we went up the Belac, which is the highest descent in the UK, and we had no problems with it. And that's because I'm a mechanic and I check my vehicle out. But that doesn't mean to say that because you're not a mechanic you can't check your vehicle out. There's still plenty of easy things that you can be aware of with your van. Things like just checking your tire pressures, get yourself a little light, inspect your brakes, just look through the holes, the vents in your wheels, just look at your brakes. Familiarize yourself with your vehicle. Get used to its little idiosyncrasies. If you hear a new noise, don't leave it and wait till it breaks. Check it out. Before you're going on a big journey, check your oil level, check your coolant, carry some spare coolant with you, check your brake fluid, check your tire condition, tire pressures, go through your lights. It's all that stuff is stuff that you can do quite easily, and if you're not sure, you can find out really easily. Once you've done it and learned it, once you've familiarized yourself with your vehicle, you're in a much better position to be able to avoid any disasters. Also on that note, I would say something like AA or RAC cover is an absolute must. Get yourself, the cover is so cheap, get yourself at least roadside, which entitles you to a repair at the roadside, and relay. If it can't be repaired, you'll get it recovered. Recovery is the most expensive part. I used to work for the AA years ago, and I'm still an AA member now. I wouldn't be without it. I've had to use it once in all that time, but it paid for itself. I was stuck out on the moors in a Land Rover with a double puncture, and I would have been in deep trouble, but the AA guy came along, took my wheel off, took it to a garage, got it repaired, brought it back. You only got to use it once to make it worthwhile. So get yourself AA or RAC cover. AA, as far as I know, are still doing a scheme where you can have a parts and labour cover, I think it's called, where they'll pay for any parts that break down. Obviously there's a few provisos on that, but it's a pretty good cover. They'll cover an alternator or a starter motor. You've got to pay the first 25 quid. They'll pay the rest. That's a really good cover. So get yourself covered by a good breakdown organisation. By good, I mean the two that I've mentioned. The rest, they just use local cowboys. And hopefully save yourself some misery. Get familiarised with your vehicle. Don't be scared to open the bonnet and poke about and see what's what. Find out where your brake fluid is. Find out where your dipstick is. Check your coolant level. Find out where your power assisted steering level is, how it works. Just get used to looking under the bonnet. Don't be scared of it. You don't have to be a genius. Get used to these small checks. Look at your gauges. Some vehicles don't have temperature gauges on them anymore, which I think is craziness. It'd be a good idea to fit your own temperature gauge if it hasn't got one. Also these days on newer vehicles you can buy little plugins that go into the diagnostic ports, and you can read information from your vehicle's onboard data, things like well, especially coolant temperature and a few other things, and you can read them from your phone. So get familiarized with your vehicle, get to know it, and you'll save yourself a ton of bother. The other thing about being familiar with your vehicle is that you can spot when people are flanneling you and trying to stitch you up. So a lot of people are phobic about going to garages because they think they're just going to get ripped off with exorbitant bills. Remember, you've got the power. You don't have to go with the repairs that the garage are trying to sell you. If you don't trust them, you don't like the sound of it, just say no thanks, walk away. They've got to establish that communication with you. They can't just charge you the earth and then surprise you with a bill. So don't be scared to go to a garage and get a professional opinion. Much better that than just leaving the fault to develop on its own and then crash land on some garage forecourt when you've got no choice on where you go. So get familiarized with your vehicle, then you're going to be in a better position to spot a little bit of waffle if somebody's trying to stitch you up. And also remember, it's better to get professional advice and walk away than just be scared of it and not go at all.